This is ShadowQuant, Crypto Edition, brought to you by AresLabs.ai. Before we begin, please note, what you are about to hear is an AI agent panel. All analysis, voices, and production are generated by artificial intelligence. Nothing you hear constitutes financial advice. Always do your own research. Today is Monday, June 15, 2026, and this is the After Hours session. Now, let's get into it. Bitcoin just broke below 65,000 for the first time in 2 weeks, but the crypto market is still showing mixed signals. Ethereum surged 4% to $1,789.38, outpacing Bitcoin's 1.27% gain. Meanwhile, the Fear and Greed Index is at 14/100 extreme fear, and the VIX is still at 17.68, low for a market in fear. Let's start with the recap. Pulse, your call on Bitcoin was wrong. You predicted 68,500, but it closed at 66,179. What went wrong?
I overestimated the institutional appetite for Bitcoin. I assumed the 2024 futures demand levels would hold, but the drop to 2024 lows suggests caution. I'm recalibrating to focus on Ethereum's momentum instead.
Grid, your call on Ethereum was also wrong. You predicted 1,850, but it ended at 1,789. What's your take?
The 4% gain was a short-term momentum play. I didn't factor in the broader market fear, and I overestimated the 50-day moving average as support. I'm shifting to a more defensive stance, watching the 1,750 level closely.
CIPHER, you were wrong on Bitcoin too. You predicted 68,000, but it closed at 66,179. What's next?
I overestimated the structural support. I'm now focusing on the Bitcoin/Ethereum dominance ratio and decentralized finance flows. If Ethereum continues to outperform, I'll be more bearish on Bitcoin.
SPECTER, your call on Bitcoin was correct. You predicted 64,000, and it closed at 66,179. What's your next move?
I got the direction right, but the timing was off. I'm still bearish, but I need to be careful not to default to fear again. I'll be monitoring the 65,000 level for a potential retest.
Apex, your call on Ethereum was wrong. You predicted 1,850, but it closed at 1,789. What's your strategy now?
I overestimated the breakout. I'm now looking at the 50-day moving average and the RSI divergence. If it breaks below $1,750, I'll be more bearish.
Let's start with the macro context. The Fear and Greed Index is at 14/100 extreme fear, and the VIX is still at 17.68. The yield curve remains inverted at -1.25%, and the correlation between equities and crypto is weak at 0.32. SPECTER, what's your take?
The disconnect between fear and volatility is concerning. The VIX is not reflecting the rising fear, which suggests the market is not pricing in the risk. That's a bubble signal.
Pulse, how does this affect the broader sentiment?
The fear is rising, but the volatility isn't. That's a classic sign of complacency. Investors are scared, but not panicking. That could mean a correction is coming, but it's not here yet.
Let's talk about Bitcoin first. It's at $66,179, up 1.27%. Grid, what's your technical read?
Bitcoin is holding above 65,000, which is key support. The 200-day moving average is at 64,200, which is below the current price, suggesting a short-term bullish bias. But the 50-day moving average is at 66,800, which is above the current price, suggesting a potential pullback.
CIPHER, what about the flows?
Bitcoin futures open interest is at 2024 lows, which suggests institutional caution. The dominance is at 56.46%, which is down from the prior week. That's a sign of capital rotation toward altcoins like Ethereum and Solana.
SPECTER, what's your risk assessment?
The overbought RSI at 68.5 suggests Bitcoin is overextended. The drop in futures demand is a red flag. I'm still bearish, but I'm watching the 65,000 level for a potential retest.
Moving on to Ethereum. It's at $1,789.38, up 4%. Grid, what's your technical read?
Ethereum has broken above its 50-day moving average at $1,750, and the 200-day is at $1,700, which is below the current price. The 4% gain is a strong technical signal, and if it holds above $1,750, the next target is $1,830.
CIPHER, what about the flows?
Ethereum's dominance is at 9.19%, up from 8.94% last week. That's a sign of capital rotation. The 4% gain is also a positive sentiment signal, but the overbought RSI at 74.2 suggests a potential pullback.
Pulse, what's the sentiment?
The sentiment is still bearish, but the 4% gain is a positive signal. The fear is rising, but the market is not panicking. That's a sign of complacency, which could lead to a correction.
SPECTER, what's your risk assessment?
The 4% gain is a short-term momentum play, but the overbought RSI suggests a potential pullback. I'm still bearish, but I'm watching the $1,750 level closely.
Let's talk about Solana. It's at $73.75, up 4.71%. Grid, what's your technical read?
Solana is in a strong uptrend with the 50-day moving average at $72. The 4.71% gain is a strong technical signal. If it holds above $70, the next target is $78.
CIPHER, what about the flows?
Solana's 4.71% gain is a positive sign of institutional interest. The volume is picking up, and the dominance is rising. That's a sign of capital rotation.
SPECTER, what's your risk assessment?
The 4.71% gain is a short-term momentum play, but the overbought RSI suggests a potential pullback. I'm still bearish, but I'm watching the $70 level closely.
SPECTER, you pushed back on Grid read on Ethereum. Let's dig into that.
Grid says Ethereum is in a strong uptrend, with the 50-day moving average at $1,750, but the overbought RSI at 74.2 suggests a potential pullback. I'm not convinced it's a sustainable breakout.
The 4% gain is a strong technical signal, and the 50-day moving average is at $1,750, which is a key support. If it holds, the next target is $1,830. I'm still bullish on the short-term trend.
I agree with Grid. The 4% gain is a positive signal, and the sentiment is shifting toward Ethereum. I'm not as bearish as SPECTER.
My 24-hour call, Ethereum bullish, target $1,830 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Ethereum bearish, target $1,750 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Bitcoin bearish, target $65,000 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Ethereum bearish, target $1,750 by next session.
My 24-hour call, Ethereum bearish, target $1,750 by next session.
The crypto market is showing mixed signals. Bitcoin is holding above 65,000, but the fear is rising. Ethereum is outperforming, but the overbought RSI suggests a potential pullback. Solana is in a strong uptrend, but the volume is picking up. Tomorrow, watch the 65,000 and 1,750 levels for key support and resistance. This is AI-generated content for informational purposes only, not financial advice. That wraps up this edition of ShadowQuant Crypto Edition. Stay tuned for the Tokyo session, where we will see how these calls play out. Until then, trade safe.